God, Satan. Jesus worshipping, non-Jesus worshipping. Jesus worshipping, Gentiles. Jesus worshipping, infidels. Jesus worshipping, everyone else is not entering the kingdom of heaven. Christians, non-Christians, black people, white people, sick-mindedness, night and day, unrelenting sickness. I guess you can say our learned friends at the university think of European worldview. I'm scared of saying European minds. I'll just say European worldview is like binary digit, bit. That's what bit in computer science or network engineering stands for. Binary, B-I-T, digit, bit. You could say the European worldview is like a two-lane highway with walls, like walls in the mind. And those walls are like fortresses, barriers that will only allow certain people on that two-lane highway. You know, a very good and close, trusted friend of mine who's a university professor confided in me once, and he said to me, you know, the limitations of the European mind, sophisticated as it may be, orderly as it may be, perhaps cultured and religious as it may be, is such that it always sees things in dichotomies. You know, the European mind is dichotomous in nature, binary, thinks in twos, white, black. That's what dichotomy means, in twos. Binary, 1, 0, on, off, boy, girl, friend, enemy, heaven, hell. I said, no wonder why we have so many problems in the world. Bing. Bingo. No wonder why we have so many problems in the world. You see, if you listen to American people, and I've lived in America many, many years to know this, they always talk about our allies. And I say to myself, if they're not our allies, then they're our enemy or what? Automatically, if you're not the ally of the white American psyche, in the white American imaginations, if you are not an ally, then you must be an enemy. But see, people of the soul, we non-white people, I will include Arab people and sometimes our part-time lovers, Morenos, people who call themselves Latinos, people who are named after a language, Latin. I guess I'm an Englishino or Swahilino, Zuluino, you know, our brown brothers and sisters. We think life is an organic continuum. So we constantly seek to understand, if you are not my friend, why? Why not? Why aren't you my friend? Why can't we trade? That's why we have so many problems. Iraq, Afghanistan, George W. Bush. I was like, wait, no, don't do that. Like, it's a big mistake. Under white American domination, we are constantly fighting ideologies. That's like fighting something you cannot see, a virus. But only because of science and microscopes are we able to actually see these viruses that were invisible before? Okay, but now we have exposed them so we can deal with them decisively. And all these problems around the world are like chasing the wind. You cannot fix people, human beings, by bombing them. You will come to learn that eventually. So this limitation and small brain kind of stuff of friend or enemy, ally or foe, and all this kind of very, very small-mindedness, very short-sighted thinking, They call it myopia. You can only see things close to you. Myopic, you're myopic in eye science, vision science. Okay. And so long as you disagree with the Republican ideology, for example, then you surely must be an enemy instantly. There is no in between, like, why do you think the way you do? And that leads them to many problems and to the ditch, and by extension, the whole world into total chaos. Look at Donald Trump, for example. He cannot reason without walls inside his head. His mind is full of walls all the time. If it's not the very literal wall he tried to build and failed, then he's going to try to build walls in another way. Send federal troops into urban areas to enforce civilian code like they're the police. So, what do you think could possibly be wrong with the president of your country, the prime minister in your country, the head of your national government, just getting bullheaded, pig-headed, arrogant, and decides he wants to deploy armed men and women in the streets of your country, on the streets of the cities in your country? What do you think is a possibility? Okay, mutiny is one possibility. If the country is as divided as is the United States of America in political opinion, if there is no universally unifying reason to deploy the troops in your country, the troops themselves can disagree vehemently, strongly, and then start fracturing. And that could spark the unthinkable. Civil strife, then civil war. That's what happens when you have a head of government who is myopic, short-sighted, thinks like a child, whimsical, mercurial. Just whatever comes to mind is what he wants to implement without thinking of the 3D, three-dimensional consequences of his or her decision. And by the way, if Donald Trump does not see it like a virus, you cannot see it with your own eyes, it does not exist. Have you noticed? There is no such thing as corona, COVID. It doesn't exist because you cannot see it. It must be communism. It must be socialism. It must be hocus pocus. Okay, that's bullheadedness, meat-headedness, just nothing but meat in the brain. For meat, for brains. That's what happens. If Donald cannot see it, it surely does not exist. No such thing as climate change because it was cold this morning. You've heard him say that. He even suggested you should drink bleach, and it will zap anything that you then drank. It gonna zap everything in your stomach. You just drink bleach, Clorox.